Hey yo, what's up? You know who it is. Your boy Rex Soprano in the building, D-O-A-G-H. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the diary, and just the same, it's real good to be back doing what I love to do, and that's letting you guys know what's really good with these games. Just to skip all the exposition, because you should have watched what the game's been missing. After a year plus of me trying to actually review this game, today I actually take care of business. Sin and Punishment Star Successor for the Nintendo Wii. The long and short of it is this. I had a copy, it broke. It took me a while to get a new copy. Now that I got one, I'm going to take care of this once and for all. But before I take care of stuff once and for all, because I like hearing myself talk like that, it's time for a history lesson, kids, because I really need you to understand why Sin and Punishment Star Successor, in the great scheme of things, is so important. The TLDR version of what I'm about to get into and say is Treasure doesn't make sequels very often. They don't. There are a couple of exceptions. There's one kind of sort of thing, and then the rest are all sequels. So let's start with the technicalities first. The Bleach games. In the scheme of things, I don't really count those, because you expect a property like Bleach to have a whole bunch of sequels to it, because it has to add new characters to it. So with that, in the scheme of things, I don't count that. Wario World, you could technically say that they worked on that sequel because it was a spin-off to the Wario Land games. Again, great scheme of things, don't really count it too much. A kind of sort of iffy with your technicality if you want to go there. Gradius 5. I suggest you wiki that, Google it, whatever, because there's a lot more to that than I'm willing to explain right now. Just know, again, great scheme of things, don't technically count Gradius 5 in that. However, before we get into sequels that Treasure has made, how about we get to the spiritual sequel to Gunstar Heroes? And that, my friends, is this game. The wonderfully, criminally, motherfucking underrated Alien Soldier. Now, the less I say about Alien Soldier, the better, because that's just a game you just need to play for yourself. Just try to condense it a little bit, that game is backwards butt fucking sane. Story, difficulty, it's just way the fuck out there. Way the fuck out there. But again, you need to play it for yourself, because watching a YouTube video, it's not going to do it for you. None of those things. But as far as the spiritual successor between Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier goes, there are a lot of things, blatant and non-blatant, that lets you know that this is a sequel to Gunstar Heroes, even though it doesn't bear the Gunstar Heroes name. It has nothing to do with the Gunstar fight or anything like that. The one blatant thing that I will mention is that Alien Soldier has a fight with 7-Force. Shout out to my nigga Gunstar Green all day, every day. That's the only thing you get from it. So this is what I suggest you do to try to alleviate your current problem. Go on eBay. Go buy the Gunstar Heroes treasure box. Listen to how kick-ass the fucking arranged version of the music is. Play the upgraded sprite version because it looks fucking beautiful in high definition, by the way. And just play Alien Soldier. You owe that to yourself. I know most of y'all done heard of Gunstar Heroes and played it, and if you haven't, you need to correct that oversight too, because I can sit up here and I can talk all day about how Gunstar Heroes is like one of the greatest games ever. But because I'm reviewing Sin and Punishment Star Successor, I can't really do that. Just know I have something planned for Gunstar Heroes, and when it's time for me to reveal these things, I'll let you know. Leaving all of that alone, let's go back a couple of years to the year 2004, where Treasure actually made a sequel. Advanced Guardian Heroes on the Game Boy Advance is a sequel to, of course, Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn. To really quickly touch on that, there's an upgraded version coming out for Xbox Live and possibly PSN at some point. It was supposed to come out this month, but I haven't really heard anything about it from Treasure or Sega themselves, so who knows what the hell's going on with that. When that come out, I'm gonna need y'all to get that. Not only so I can pick Han and rate people, but on top of that, you really owe it to yourself to support Treasure and what they do. Oh, and get the remake for Radiant Silver Gun too. Do that. Do that shit. Do that. Advanced Guardian Heroes. The Advanced Guardian Heroes is one of those times where Treasure didn't quite get it right. It's just that when you play it, for me personally, it just felt like, well, it didn't feel like Guardian Heroes to me. That's just the beginning, middle, and end of it. It didn't feel like Guardian Heroes to me. It tried to shove a whole bunch of Guardian Heroes references and things down my throat, but playing it on the Game Boy Advance did not feel the same as playing it on the Sega Saturn. It's a playable game. Don't get me wrong. It's a really good, decent game, but it didn't capture the feeling of playing Guardian Heroes. But if you are going to play it and you're looking for some kind of story/exposition, play the original version first, then play Advanced Guardian Heroes, because everything in Advanced Guardian Heroes is a damn spoiler for the first one. So now you know. Roll with me to 2005. Treasure tries the sequel thing again. This time they do it with Gunstar Heroes. This time, however, they get it right and then some. Gunstar Superheroes is just a wonderful tapestry of how you make a sequel/remake. Like, if you're looking for a way to make a sequel/remake the crack, Gunstar Superheroes is kind of a blueprint people might want to look at. Because Gunstar Superheroes is nothing but Gunstar Heroes put into a pot with a whole bunch of Sega and Treasure references. Everything that was good tweaked to make better. The only thing it didn't have is two-player mode, and that's what kind of hungers me for like a remake for like Gunstar Superheroes, because Gunstar Superheroes with two-player would have been the shit. It would have been, to play that game with a partner is wonderful. Just like playing Gunstar Heroes with somebody is a wonderful and great thing, which you can do now with a lot of the versions, especially the PSN version. The PSN and the 360 version. I think the iPhone version does support two players, I think. I'm not really sure. But playing Gunstar Heroes with a buddy is like one of those extra things that makes it wonderful. Not having two-player mode in Gunstar Superheroes didn't hurt it, but it left a little to be desired. But everything else about the game is motherfucking crack. And you need to be playing that shit. Before we cover the last sequel that Treasure made, there is one other game on Game Boy Advance that Treasure had their hands on that I think you should be taking a look at and even thinking about trying to add to your collection. That game being Astro Boy the Omega Factor. That game is a whole bunch of things. One of the most important things it is nothing but a shrine to one of the greatest men who ever lived, and that being Osamu Tezuka. Personally, you have Osamu Tezuka to thank for a lot of things, and manga and anime, so you need to bow down to a king. Real talk. We just gonna put it out there. That's what it is. As far as the game goes, the game is nothing but old school crack from end to end. It's so old school. In order to get the true ending, you got to play it twice. You do nothing pretty much but take Astro Boy, beat shit up, shoot shit. It's just everything that is just wonderful about old school games just wrapped up in a little black cartridge. I sit up here and I spew about Astro Boy, the Omega Factor, because it's a wonderful game. And if I can take a minute or two out of my time while I'm supposed to be doing something else and tell you why you need to have that in your collection, or hell, at least play it, I don't have no problem doing that at all. So, with that being said, the last thing Treasure made a sequel to was technically two kind of sequels, maybe remake, depending on how you want to take it. 2008, Bangai Spirits on the DS. And then they got the new Bangai, the Bangai Missile series on 360 now. So those are two technical sequels / remakes you can take. But Treasure's made a whole bunch of games. Technically, 4 of them got sequels. So that's why letting you know about what Treasure has done and why Star Successor is such a rarity for Treasure to do, which is another reason why I'm pushing you guys to play this game, because Treasure stepped out their box for you. Because people like me went and bought Sin and Punishment the day it hit the virtual console, and I didn't have a problem spending $10, and I don't have a problem doing it again and again and again and again and again, just to let them know how much I appreciate what they do. Just like I went out day one and bought Star Successor, and it took a whole bunch of convincing for me not to get the Japanese version, because I'm sitting up here just wondering, like, are they actually going to release it over here? Is Nintendo of America going to do something to correct for a change? With that being my segue into the last thing we need to talk about before I actually review the game. The localization for this game, depending on where you were, was either complete utter bullshit or perfectly wonderful. Guess where the United States is? Yeah, that bullshit. For me, we've been through this before. You know how important story is to me, how important, knowing exactly what I'm walking in and getting into, what are these characters' ambitions and their goals and what they trying to get at is important to me, because it just does that much more to draw me into the game experience. If it wasn't for the European website for Successor of the Skies, I would have no motherfucking clue what's going on in my sequel. Just so you know, there will be a link to that website in the description bar, because if you're going to go at it in order, by playing Sin and Punishment, going to the European website, reading about, which is technically the European website, is the epilogue for Sin and Punishment 1 and the prologue for a sequel, all in one. It's like a series Bible, tells you about the end of Sin and Punishment 1, what happened to Saki, what happened to everybody, leading into Sin and Punishment Star Successor, getting into the new characters and what they're all about and how they are linked and intertwined between each other. But again, when I really think about Nintendo of America and the localization, it makes me want to go load up a 9mm, go to Washington and go shoot people, because I'm not going to be playing Xenoblade ever in America, unless I import it. Oh wait, I've done that. So, yeah, I got some beef. Yeah, your boy Rexy, he got beef with Nintendo of America right now. So, unless people don't want to feel like getting shot, somebody's going to give me Xenoblade and I want it now. But enough of threatening people aside, maybe it's time I review that game. Maybe I should do that. That's probably the best idea I've had all day. But yeah, Sin and Punishment Star Successor, y'all. This is a wonderful game, and it's going to take a little while for me to explain how wonderful and why you need to be playing it. The only reason I can give while we're waiting is that this juncture game's $10. I've said this repeatedly, and I'll say it again. $10 For what I paid $50 for day one, it's not bad. You get a whole lot for $10 if you decide to get into it. Again, I definitely suggest playing Sin and Punishment 1 first. I really do, because I really think that by playing the first one, you appreciate how far this game has come to where we are now. And then right after that, if you play this, you'll be wishing Sin and Punishment 1 had Wiimote and nunchuck controls. Because I really, and that's one of the reasons why I wish this game sold a bit more, because I would love to see the first Sin and Punishment. You ain't even gotta HD it up, clean up the sprites. I don't give a shit. Just let me play the game with the Wiimote nunchuck. Let me aim with the Wiimote. God, that just sounds so good in my head. The last thing I'm gonna touch on before we get started, because I'm probably not gonna have time to talk about it, is you're listening to this music right now at the title screen. You know how epic this shit sounds? This game is like, this is like ear sex for you, man. This is some great music. The whole soundtrack is wonderful. Is that all the songs in the game really match up and really invoke what's going on. It's not that when you play a stage that the music that accompanies it doesn't sound out of place. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and it's just another reason why this game is such the crack. And with that being said, once we go back to the title screen to press A, we're going to go and get into it. Now, when you start, you get 4 save files. When you create a save file, you're able to name it. As you saw up at the top, I have a name for my save file, which we'll be doing our tutorial through and explaining all the characters and all that good stuff. You can also play a game without saving, and then that trash can at the end, you can use to delete any one of your save files to create a new one over it. Now, when you select a save file, you're given a couple of options. One player starts, that's pretty self-explanatory. You have your 2-player mode, your options, and your ranking. Now, while 1-player mode being, self-explanatory, maybe I should explain the 2-player mode a little bit. Because it's nothing like Sin and Punishment 1. It's not a steer, it's not a gunner, I don't even know the word I'm looking for here. It's like in Sin and Punishment 1 player controls the character, and the other player controls their reticle and how they shoot. In this game now, the first player controls whatever character that they're playing with, and the second player is just a cursor on the screen able to spray bullets. I think this is a better way and a more intuitive way, because it helps get other people into the experience. It gives that second player enough of a taste for them to be like, man, maybe I need to be playing this shit for myself. And I really like that. Also, just so you know, 2-player mode isn't balanced. It isn't balanced for 2-player support, which is a good thing, because you can get the same experience playing by yourself as you would with playing with somebody else without upping the difficulty and ramping it up too much to try to match up. It's also a good way that because of how the game now works, instead of it drop the credit system, but we'll get into that later, about how you can use how you can have a second player help you out if you're stuck in a 1-player situation and you can't quite weasel your way out of it. And I think that's again, another good way to, to immerse the character, immerse the player into the experience, to know that, if I need some help, I can call for some backup if need be. It's a wonderful thing. Options mode. Now, we'll start with the controller configurations, because again, like I mentioned in the first Sin and Punishment review, this is really important. Now, you have 4 controller options. You have your Wiimote and nunchuck setup, your classic controller, using a GameCube controller or using a Wii Zapper. The less said about that, the better, but I have something to say about that when we get done with all of this. Now, we'll go into the settings. Now, you have a whole bunch of ways to configure your experience. This is honestly the way I think Trigger wanted you to actually experience the game, by using a Wiimote and nunchuck. But I think honestly that all the other controller options are there to give players a choice of what they want to use, or in some cases, you'll get Wiimote batteries dead and you need to, finish playing your game. But again, it's just, I don't know. Is that when I think about it, like, when I first played the game, is that it took me about a good maybe hour and a half, 2 hours of gameplay to sit up here and fiddle with the controls to finally get something that I liked and agreed with that felt right. Because if you take a look at my buttons and how they set up, is that everything on the nunchuck is for controlling my character, how they move, when they dive, and when they jump or whatever. The remote is nothing for dealing out and killing. And I really like that my left hand is making sure that everything is good with my character, and my right hand is making sure shit die in a very quick fashion. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I really appreciate that Treasure took the time to give you this you technically fully configure controls and how to get in, how you fit in, however you like. The classic controller and the GameCube, they cool. I play with them both. They don't smash me no nunchuck. For real. There are games where, where when I'm given an option that I usually use a GameCube controller because that's what I'm comfortable with. Remote nunchuck, when given an option, I can only honestly think of 2 games, like off the top of my head, where when I'm given the option, I'll play with a remote nunchuck. Those being the Naruto games and Mario Kart Wii. The Naruto games is just that it's a fun alternate way to play the Naruto series, and plus before special you could do the hand sign stuff, and you could also control the power of your super moves by doing stuff with the remote and nunchuck and all that type of stuff. And in Mario Kart Wii, I played that game with the GameCube controller like it was going out of style. I discovered remote nunchuck and it was just magic ever since. And I won't play Mario Kart Wii any other way. But at this juncture, I don't play Mario Kart Wii at all because all the cheaters, just made me quit playing the game. Even though I'm like, I got 3 stars and everything because I'm just a beast at Mario Kart. So, yeah, y'all want to see me in that Mario Kart site. Yeah, y'all want to do that. And the less said about this shit, the better. The only thing that I'm just reminded of when I look at this is, I don't know why I can't play Duck Hunt on the virtual console. I'd pay money for that. I would. I'd pay money for using the remote to play Duck Hunt. I'm not lying. I bullshit you not. I don't know whether it's a technical thing. I don't know what it is, but I don't know why I can't play games like Hogan's Alley or Bayou Billy or one of the most criminally underrated Super Nintendo games in history, and that game is Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge. Let me repeat that for you. Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge. You need to play that shit. Yeah, that's a game I definitely suggest that you play, and you do it as soon as possible. That has to be one of my favorite games of all time. It is. It's just that one of these days, again, that's one of those games I talked to you guys about a long time ago that I said that I wanted to review and actually play through, but I wanted to do it the right way. I got plenty of tech that lets me take a look at Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge and give it all the praise and glory that it deserves, because Nintendo pretends the game doesn't exist. Mike or Roller would be wonderful characters in the Smash series. They would. I take at this juncture, I take Saki for a playable character and characters from Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge as fucking assist trophies. That's how important I really think it is that more people learn about the series, because its prequel Battle Clash was real decent, but Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge took what Battle Clash laid down and perfected it. That's a game where you get straight immersed in an experience where it's all first person. It's just wonderful as fuck. And I suggest that if you do nothing else after you're done with this review and you go play Alien Soldier like I told you, go play Mortal Kombat Falcon Revenge after that. You will thank me later. Believe me, just trust your boy on this one, alright? With that being said, control priority. Now, hypothetically, all it is that if you see that my remote and nunchuck, that's my control priority. That no matter if I have like a GameCube controller plugged in, as long as the remote is on and has lights and all that good stuff, it will always default to this controller scheme first. And then if you unplug it to do it, then it'll fall back to whatever's left. So if you happen to switch out and use a Classic Controller Pro or something like that, it'll switch out, but it will always respect that you want to use Wiimote and nunchucks first. And for the record, and I will say it one more time before we leave the screen, if you play this game, please play it with the Wiimote and nunchuck, because honestly, I think that's treasure, how they wanted you to take the experience and actually experience the game by using the Wiimote and nunchuck, because the game is really structured around that. So just to let you guys know, if you're going to do it right, do it well. And it also had a default thing that I didn't talk about. It just defaults your controls back to the default controls if that's what you need to do. Now, you can adjust the display settings. The only thing of importance in here is that you can change the game subtitles. Now, what we're going to get into a second is that this game does have English and Japanese voice acting. However, the subtitles for the Japanese stuff don't really match too much up with the English stuff. So using the subtitles, you know, other than if you're just plain not listening and you rather read it, you know, it doesn't really do it that much of justice. But, you know, it is done that you can have the subtitles in English, French, Spanish, turn them off. The subtitles in Japanese or in English. And as we talked about in the sound setting, this game, again, like I said, is a dual audio experience, either English or Japanese. The voice acting in this game, by the English version of the voice acting is done very well. I do have to appreciate all the characters really sound like what they're supposed to sound like, and it's really good parallel to the Japanese counterpart. But it's like there's an option for you, so you can get in how you fit in no matter what with this. And you can also do a manual save from this stage too. So, you know, if you ever need to manual save like a controller option or anything that you change, you can manually save it from here just to make sure that it sticks. And the ranking mode. Now, ranking mode, that is how, this is the Wii Wi-Fi connectivity thingy. That you can upload the scores locally, regionally, or globally. That's all it is. Compare yourself to everybody else, technically in the whole wide world, playing the same stage you are. And the rankings are done each individual stage, by each individual difficulty, and overall your total score from beginning to end on any select difficulty. So you can really break down a lot of stuff about your play compared to somebody else's. It would have been kind of cool to actually download like character playthroughs like you can with games like Death Smiles and stuff like that on the 360, where you can download characters run through. That would have been kind of cool, but you know, Nintendo's not really too forward thinking with the online stuff, so you know, I can't really blame Treasure for that one. And when you actually decide you want to start a game, you can continue from where you left off. Now, let's talk about this for a second, because this is important. In Singapore 1, if you take a look at the review, I explained to you about the credit system and how it works. The credit system added a layer of difficulty, for a layer of entry level difficulty, let me say, because if you play the game enough, like I said, is that credit don't mean jack, because if you play the game enough, you can beat the game probably without getting hit. In this game, that's all thrown away for an infinite continue system and a very fair checkpoint system. The checkpoint system is just right. It's just that there aren't too many checkpoints, there aren't enough checkpoints, it's just right. And the infinite continues, again, you don't have to worry about the credit system being an extra push of difficulty, that you can try to learn it at your own pace versus learn it fast or be prepared to restart the fuck over. So I really love that about this game. I really do. I'm like, honestly, I've always been a fan of infinite continues, especially in games like Ninja Gaiden 1. I just finished playing that recently. Fuck Stage 6. Fuck Stage 6 with an H dick. I just said it. I'm putting it out there. Anybody who played the first Ninja Gaiden knows why I'm saying what I'm saying, and y'all know exactly where I'm coming from. I'm not gonna spoil it for nobody, but fuck that stage. Fuck that stage. Thank God for Infinite Continues, but fuck that stage. Fuck it, fuck it, fuck it. But yeah. Again, like I said, I am a fan of Infinite Continue. I'm a fan of giving you as many chances as you need to learn what you need to learn to get it right. that ultimately when you get it right enough times and get it right all the way to the end, it's going to take less continues next time to get it right. And then you're going to get to a point to where you beast mode in the game. And that's what I think Infinite Continues does, is that, again, Infinite Continues in this day and age are, you know, it's not really as appreciated as it was in the, what I like to call the before time. It's just that, you know, everything has Infinite Continues because the people who play games are different. The way that games were back when I was growing up or the way games are now. So, I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole video that I can get into that. But everybody who know what I'm talking about know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to that. So, I'm going to leave that where it is. One of these days, though, we're going to have a wonderful discussion about Infinite Continues and how much I love them. With that being said, you can also start a new game from this stage 2, but we won't be doing that because here, yeah, I'm a little too far to be doing this at this juncture, so I'm not going to. We will, however, be using the stage select. And to quickly explain the stage select, it's not like it was in Sin and Punishment 1. It's more like you start the stage over from the beginning, and each new stage that you make it to, you're able to play through using the stage select. But unlike in Sin and Punishment 1, which had it broken up in between parts of stages, it's not like that. You play the stage from beginning to end. So there were some times in this game where I wish that there was certain checkpoints broken up, because without being too spoilerific, there are some things in this game that stretch outside of what Sin and Punishment is supposed to be, and when those experiences happen, they are a little mind-blowing and a little pushed back because you're not expecting it. So, for real, honestly, your first time through the game, you are going to see some stuff that's going to like take you out of the experience for a minute, but then dip you right back in. So I'm not going to tell you what those experiences were, but I'm telling you, get your mind ready. That don't just think that all you're going to be doing this whole game is running and gunning. So just be on the lookout for that type of stuff. And with that, we get to our difficulties. That's easy, that's normal, and that's hard. Let's put it like this. Easy ain't easy. Normal is, you know, normal's a little hard and easy. Hard is some wild shit. I beat this game on all 3 difficulties, and hard is some crazy shit. It is. For the record, just before we get into unlockables, it don't matter what difficulty you play the game on. It don't. So play the game. If you want to coast through it on easy, feel free to do so. I honestly suggest you just play the game on normal, because I think that's the best balanced experience. And once you play it on normal a couple times, you'll give hard a shot. But for the sake of our tutorial today, I'm gonna be playing the tutorial stage on the first stage escape on normal, just to get you through the game. Now, before we do all that, I think we should introduce our protagonist, Kachi and Issa. Now, before we get to talking about each of the characters, I just need you to visualize something with me. I need you to think about Saki. And I tried to explain the best I could in Sin and Punishment in the review how Saki works and how it is. Just for everybody that doesn't know, I'm going to break it down like this. Saki had 2 modes of attack, I guess you could technically call it, where he could either manually aim or auto-lock onto the first enemy that he shot at until it died. Think of Issa and Kachi as taking those 2 separate attack forms of Issa and then taking them and then dividing them and then just diversifying them so much. And that's what Issa and Kachi bring to the table. Because what I'm going to try to drill home when I'm talking about both of these characters is these 2, once you pair them together, they introduce one hell of a wonderful synergy. Believe you me. It's one hell of a wonderful, violent synergy. that you have to take the time out to learn about Issa and Kachi, how they both work, what they do, what they don't do, and what they do and don't do. The two of them complement each other so very well, and for that, I have to applaud Treasure for making that the way it is. That you don't really see that the first time you pick up the game and play, but when you play the game enough, you really start to see that, honestly, on a base level, Issa and Kachi are exactly the same. They can shoot shit, they can melee shit back, and things die when they shoot shit and melee shit back. But once you get to playing these characters and learning about them and how they work, again, a beautiful and wonderful and violent energy. We can start with our main Issa Joe.
Let's go.
Yep, let's do that, Issa. Now, Issa is all about the manual aim, kiddies. All about the manual aim. Now, Issa kills shit. He does, and he does it in a very quick fashion too. Because to make the first diversion between Issa and Kachi, so what I've noticed during boss battles, and this is just taking boss battles into account, that Issa kills bosses just a little more quickly than Kachi does. But I think that may have something more to do about how they aim at characters versus Kachi just being weaker than Issa, because where they even out is just like the Silver Punishment. When you lock on to a character using a full lock on, you do less damage. What it seems to me, again, through playing boss battles, is that Issa and Kachi do around the same amount of damage when they're fully locked on, but when Issa manually aims at something versus Kachi when she auto locks to something after she shoots it, it just, again, it just looks like the way the bosses work, that Issa just does a more damage than Kachi does. So again, keep that in mind, but Issa is a fucking monster. Is that the one important thing that you need to learn about Issa and his whole gameplay is his charge shot. Because his charge shot is a wonderful thing. It's good for taking out groups of enemies all at one time without thinking. You charge it, you let it go. Each charge shot does 150 points of damage of 150 points of damage of anything within that blast radius. So there are a lot of things that are not gonna survive a shot of that. And that's the majority of most enemies that are not bosses. They're not going to survive a full charge shot from Issa. The thing about it is using Issa's charge shot in moderation, because it takes about a good 3 to 5 seconds, depending on the situation, from a fully charged shot to a cooldown to where he can use it again. And depending on the situation, it may take a bit longer. I've seen myself go from charge shot, cooldown back to charge shot in about a full maybe 7 or 8 seconds, possibly 10. It just depends. It's just that this is just stuff based off me playing the game on all 3 difficulties. Because one thing I didn't consider, and speaking remote, that I didn't consider when I was taking a look at all this information trying to compile it, is that does difficulty affect cooldown and things like that? And that's one thing I'm not sure about. But when I actually get to take more of a depth look at this game, that's something that I'm going to try to find out and present. So that's also a possible variable in about Issa and Kachi and how they work, that difficulty may possibly play a factor in that. Just like Saki and R in the Center Punishment, Issa, for his melee attack, uses a sword, and he has a 3-hit combo. It's a vertical slash, a horizontal slash, and then he just does a little turn, and then he does a slash. The one thing I will let you know about melee attacks, unless a boss is stunned where you can do a melee attack, don't do a full combo. Doing a full combo will get you hurt. Because when a character does a full combo, instead of them being able to move right away, they're stuck in a space while they recover from that last frame. So one of the most important things you have to learn is learning how to do part of a melee combo and then doing a dodge or doing anything to put you back into a neutral state so that you can continue to attack without getting hit. Because just so you know the math formula for today in Sin and Punishment, standing still equals you die. It's as simple as that. If you are standing still, if you're not aiming, if you're not doing anything that's not attacking, you're getting hit and you're eating damage. And things do damage in the game. That's the one thing that bumps up the difficulty a little bit. It makes it a tad harder than Sin and Punishment, is that you are punished even more so in this game for making a mistake. It's that making a mistake with a group of enemies means you're going to eat about 20-30 damage, because in a hard difficulty game, normal enemies shoot 5-6 bullets at you when they do 5-6 points of damage apiece, and this game damage adds up quick. So you just have to be careful in knowing that, again, remember it as your mantra. Standing still equals you die, and that is important. And then we have Kachi.
My turn.
Kachi. Well, okay. Now, before you ask me about my love affair with this character, remember when we talked about earlier about how you need to play Sin and Punishment, how you need to go to the European website to play this game? Yeah. She's a reason for that. No spoilers, no nothing. If you need a reason, here's a cute reason with a tail. Now, with all that out the way, let's talk about Kachi. In comparison to Issa, Kachi's more of a technical type of character, because Kachi actually takes some thought to play with. Because while Kachi, how it may look, may be not as strong as Issa, Kachi has her own way of getting the job done. But you have to think it out. Kachi's shot isn't, you can manual aim still, but once you shoot something and it actually connects, Kachi will stay locked on to that enemy until it dies. She'll stay locked on to the enemy until it dies. So, with that being said, you have to be careful in how you use her, because the only way to take an auto lock off on from an enemy that you're shooting at, as far as I know, is to either kill it or manual or try to move the cursor off what you're aiming at, do a dodge to take up the auto lock and then reshoot at something else. So that means, unlike Issa, you can't just run into a room, barrel in, and think that Kachi's going to get the job done the same way to sprint every enemy in sight. To make up for this small little oversight, Kachi's auto lock charge shot. It works like this, and I just need you to just visually picture it with me. Close your eyes for a second. Pretend Kachi is strolling into a room and there are 8 enemies in it. Kachi can shoot each one of those enemies with a charge shot by charging up her shot and then locking onto the enemy. She can lock on to 8 enemies at a time and then let the charge shot go. All 8 enemies, if they have less than 25 hit points, yeah, they're dead. Think about it like this too. Say you're fighting a boss with Kachi, and you can lock onto that enemy. You can lock onto one enemy up to 8 times, or up to 8 separate enemies. Each doing 25 points of damage. 25 times 8 is 200. So, remember I told you, Issa's charge shot blast radius does 150 points of damage. Kachi can do up to 200 points of damage by fully charging a level 8 charge shot. Also, the thing about Kachi is she has what I like to call autocorrect. And what that is that she won't do any more damage than she needs to kill an enemy. So what it does is that it helps you not waste time trying to lock onto an enemy any more than you need to. So if you want to fully charge it to level 8, you can lock onto this enemy 5 or 6 times, doing 150 points of damage, then lock onto another 2 enemies doing 25 points of apiece, and then killing them all without wasting a step. With that being said, you can also control how you can also control her cooldown time, because her cooldown time ain't really that much if you keep your charge under maybe 4 bars. That is about about a little short of an Aether's full cooldown time. But again, like I say, with all of that playing into her favor and also being a detriment to her, is that you have to learn how to play cocky with some damn fish. You can't, like I say, run into a room and expect to just spray down stuff if you're playing as Issa. And we all bring it full circle. And what I said at the beginning before I start talking about these characters, the synergy between the two of them. That once you get to this point, is that you should have learned how to play as both of them enough to be a well-oiled machine with the both of them. Now, with all of that being said, before I get into my tutorial, let's explain all this. Now, as you see, there are arrows, and what you can do is once you beat the game a couple of times, you can switch how the characters work. And if you want to use Kachi as a manual shot instead of an auto lock, you're free to do that. And if you want to use Issa as an auto lock instead of a manual, you're free to do that. You might be asking me, how do you unlock this stuff? Real simple. Beating the game once as Issa and once as Kachi will unlock Issa and Kachi mode. Beating Issa and Kachi mode does 2 things. Number 1, it unlocks these options, and number 2, you get the actual game's full ending. Because if you beat the game solo with either Issa or Kachi, you don't get a whole lot. It's more like 2 sentences of exposition and then like a 10-minute credit screen with some Chinese chick singing. So you take that for what it is. And with all that being said, we have a tutorial to get to, so let's get busy. Now, I'm going to be skipping through all the cutscenes because I don't want to take up any more of your time than I already have at this moment. So, and on top of that, I plan to actually play this game all the way through myself anyway. So, if my Wiimote actually wants to work, we can get started here. Thank you. That's embarrassing. And like I say, man, this game looks like a, ooh, I didn't even see that bullet coming. I feel kind of bad. Look at that. Just nice and dead. Just over the cocky. And like I said, well, now here is a perfect way to show you what's up with Kachi's charge shot. It's like I say, lock onto a whole bunch of enemies, go boom. And that's all it is, folks. They want to pause that. I'm going to press the minus button. Is that, you know, you can also float. I don't know if we talked about that. You have a jump button too, but you're not really going to be using it too much. No, it's that jumpy button. Just like that. And Kachi, instead of using a sword, she actually does a combination of kicks. But like I said earlier, you don't want to do a full combo unless you stun a boss. And you know, like for real, seriously, I bullshit you not. You do not want to do full combos and melee attacks because you'll get yourself killed, and you know, getting killed ain't cool. Is just that this is a wonderful, wonderful game, and you know, and it's my pleasure and privilege to show it to you. See, and that's that autocorrect right there. It locked on for full A target because that enemy had 200 points of damage. Like that. Now, this is the part of the stage where I get to show you all about melee attacks and how they work. So I hope I can do this without getting hit a whole bunch and getting killed. Now, you see those two gentlemen right up there? That's what I was afraid of. Get caught in the bomb. Is that, you know, Lukaku's just melee and stuff back is a bit easier because she's already locked up to the enemy. She's gonna melee it back too. So, you know, it's become a little easier south. Okay, that took all y'all. Yeah, everybody just died. Get that, and we have pacified. Now, hopefully I can actually find the special bonus in this stage, because if you have trouble finding now you find the special bonus by knocking down all those. So, you know, see if I can actually get it done for a turn, because I usually don't. Wow, she took that hit. Poor thing, I'm sorry. There it is. Yeah, that's back. Now, like I said, you always want to pick Kachi. If you an instant Kachi mode, and you try to do like melee damage to a boss out there stir, Kachi's perfect for it. The reason being is that she does 125 points of damage to melee attack instead of 100. Now, if it's 75 and 100, and I'm tripping. My math is so wrong right now. I'm so into this right here. Wonderful, wonderful death. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. Done and done. Let's see here. 6 billion. Not bad. Not bad. Now, if I was actually playing for real, and I actually knew what a special bonuses was, yeah, I probably, that score would be a lot higher. And Kachi took that hit from the boss when I wasn't paying attention, so, you know, it is what it is on that. And I'll be skipping this cutscene. Now, this screen right here is when you want to upload your scores and everything, but I'm not connected to my Wii's not connected to my Wi-Fi at the moment because I never use it, so that's why it wouldn't let me upload anything. So, with that being said, Sin and Punishment Star Successor. I done told you about it. Told you about a whole bunch of other games you need to put on your radar and get to play. But the question you may be asking is, how did you express that in a numerical form? How do I express it in a numerical form? 100 gazillion per billion out of 100 gazillion per billion, or out of 10, or out of 20? Look, this is not a game I can give a score to because, again, it's always going to be plus 10 because this game is nothing but an exceptional and worthy successor to the original Sin and Punishment in every way. Again, it just makes me wish that Treasure could go back to the original Sin and Punishment and add Wiimote and nunchuck controls, because Wiimote and nunchuck controls enhance this experience like nobody's business. I'm just at this juncture that I'm really not exactly lost for words of what to say, or anything like that, but it's really hard to think of positive things to say when you think that it's taking you almost an hour to say positive things about something, to continue to say positive things about it without repeating yourself. But it may come to that some of those things in this situation are worth repeating. This game is nothing short of fucking crack. You just seen me play it. You just experienced it for yourself through me. That this game is at a minimum worth your attention at some juncture. I'm not sitting up here telling you that you need to go out today and go by Sin and Punishment. While I'd appreciate that and Treasure would too, I just hope that this review put this game on your I need to play that shit list. And that's what I really hope that this review actually does, is that now that this game has been introduced to you, if you weren't aware of it already, that I don't know, but I think that's where we wrap this up. I do. I really think that this is where we wrap this up. So the review of the review is this simple. If you haven't played the original Sin and Punishment, emulate it, buy it on the virtual console, however you get down, please do that. Refer back to this video when you're done doing what you're supposed to do. Take a look at the description bar. I will have a link to the European website. It will give you all the exposition you need to find out what happened at the end of your adventures of Sin and Punishment and how they lead into what we're talking about now. After you're done all that, getting yourself more educated, you'll come and play this game with a more of an open mind. And that's how I really want you to approach Sin and Punishment, is that you can't approach it like, like I sit up here and gush about it, because I appreciate it on a different level than others do. So it's easy for me to say that, well, you need to play this because I told you or nothing like that. No, it's because I appreciate not only Sin and Punishment as a series, but as Treasure as a developer. And yeah, I got bias. When it comes to Treasure and it comes to the game, I have a little bias that when they come out with something, I usually put it on a higher priority of something that I may want to check out versus something like, whatever. So I will sit up here at this stage and at this juncture and admit that yeah, I got a little bias, but yeah, so what? But it's my opinion and I'm going to stand on it and I'm sticking to it. Other than that, what else are you supposed to do? Oh yeah, you're supposed to go play Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge, because no one knows about that game but me and maybe 5 other people who exist on the place of the planet Earth. Yeah, I might have to go play that later myself. You know what? I may have to, take a little time out and go play Mortal Kombat Falcon's Revenge for myself. Also on your to-do list, Astro Boy the Omega Factor, Gunstar Superheroes, both for the Game Boy Advance. Get it how you fit in. Go buy a Game Boy Advance. Go get a Game Boy player. Whatever you got to do to get in on that Astro Boy the Omega Factor and the Gunstar Superheroes, feel free to please do that. Oh yeah, and play Alien Soldier. Yeah, you might want to do that. You might want to play the spiritual successor of the Gunstar Heroes. And remember, import the Gunstar Heroes treasure box. Do that, because those are the best way to actually play the game. Just in my opinion, personally, that even though I bought them on the virtual console, but I bought them on the virtual console just to support Treasure and for no other reason other than that. When I actually get a chance to play through Gunstar Heroes and Alien Soldier and show you all those games, I won't be playing the 360 version. I won't be playing the PS3 version. I won't be playing the version on the virtual console. Hell, I won't even be using the emulator. I will be playing them directly from the Gunstar Heroes treasure box. And on a side note, go through some research on the Sega Ages games too. It's some bullshit in there, but it's more crack than it is bullshit. Believe me, there are some things. Yeah, like for example, the first Dynamite Cop. Yeah, you might know it better as Die Hard Arcade. Yeah, that is probably one of the best games in the Sega Ages series. That's not any of the Fantasy Stars. So you'll want to do that too. With that being said, that I've reviewed my review, I've TLDR'd everything you need to know, I am bowing out of here. You know who I am. I'm your boy, Triple the God, aka Rex Soprano, the king of this YouTube shit. If you didn't know already, really quickly, shout out to all my bronies in the building. You know what I'm saying? We's amazing for us. We love our My Little Pony. I love my Fluttershy. I love my Pinkie Pie, and I'm not scared to admit that. Be on the watch for the JR project. Definitely be on the watch for that. Once I get into the JR project and explain what it's all about, it'll explain the nice chunk of time in between Kamen Rider Climax Heroes Double and what the game's been missing. Oh, and a message from Jock King. The Streets Away Trilogy project, we ain't forgot. We just been busy, and that's coming sooner than you think it is. On that note, I am out of here. I am done. Go motherfucking play Sin and Punishment. Do that shit right now. I am the one and only Rex Soprano in the building. DOABH. I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.